So enough about this abstract stuff. Let's close this project. Okay, let's move forward. Sorry, we're gonna miss the first part of the lecture. Lastly, functions, okay? So what we were originally talking about, loops, we gotta repeat code over and over again, over doing the same code over and over again. We gotta know how to do that. Functions is how we just define a piece of code that we can run later on when we need to run it. Okay, we're gonna get more practice this week. Also, get. Okay, we also learned a lot about get. I know that it's quite confusing for a lot of us here. It's gonna be that way.
It's easy when it's just me.
I know, but
Shut up. If you can get it to the master, go for it.
You have to create your own branch first.
so funny. It's this is you right now, Sean. When you merge your own pull request, you give yourself. That's you. Like, oh, it's so easy. I can just merge it myself. But just know you can't give yourself awards. That's not how it works. Obviously, like this meme is pretty funny. I thought it was pretty funny. I wanted to show you guys this. You guys all have the right to do this, okay? On your own GitHub, you guys can merge it whatever you want. You guys can throw it away, add it, whatever you want to do. But in reality, the reality is when you guys get to a company, you cannot merge it yourself, okay? You can't award yourself like that, okay? So Git is confusing. It's not going to be something that we learn in a day, okay? I don't know what to say. I promise you, I did not learn Git in a day. I had to mess up a bunch of times before I started getting the hang of it. We're also missing advanced ES6, and that's why I said a second ago that we're going to show you guys how to write advanced ES6. Who here knows what ES6 is? It's called ECMAScript. ECMAScript 6. What is ECMAScript, guys? ES6 is the newest version of JavaScript, okay? Some people can call it ES6. People might call it ECMAScript. The technical name for JavaScript is ECMAScript. That's the real name for JavaScript. That's what everyone agrees it is. I don't know why people call it JavaScript colloquially, but the official name is ECMAScript. And specifically, ECMAScript 6 is what we're going to be writing React in. The code that I just showed you, that's right here. This technique is ECMAScript, right here. Okay, that's the more advanced way. This is why you want to do it. Yeah. Okay, so once again, we're gonna be doing that this week. Okay, so here's a little bit of a hype video. Okay, Charles likes to sprinkle these in. I think they're good. So this is you guys, okay?
Nobody's born smart. We all start at zero. Can't talk, can't walk, certainly can't do algebra. Adding, reading, riding a bike. Nobody's good at anything at first. There was a time when Einstein couldn't count to 10. And Shakespeare had to learn his ABCs just like the rest of us. Thankfully, we're born to learn. Slowly, surely, you stumble, slip, crawl, fall, and fail, and fall. Frustrating, confusing, trying, struggling, until one day, you walk. One foot in front of the other, one idea on top of the next, each wrong answer making your brain a little bit stronger. Failing is just another word for growing, and you keep going. This is learning. Knowing that you'll get it, even if you haven't gotten it yet. Because the most beautiful, complex concepts in the whole universe are built on basic ideas that anyone, anywhere, can understand. Whoever you are, wherever you are, you only have to know one thing. You can learn anything.
So I know that's kind of like super duper like inspirational and kind of lame, but just know that like the reality is that no one wakes up a good software developer. They put in a lot of work to get there. Okay, yeah, that's just what it takes, and that's just like we got to decide every single day. We don't make a decision in one day and we're done. We make a decision every single day. We get up in the morning and say, okay, I don't understand this concept. Should I read it again before class? Or should I read it before I go to this meeting? Or should I read it before I start the project? it's a decision we make every single day. Every single day we got to decide that we're gonna do this. So I would like, like this video is in here just to reinforce this concept that, like, guys, we all understand that this is hard, and like, that's why we're here. But that's also why it's worth it. Yeah, everyone here knows who John F. Kennedy is, right?
Yeah, he got shot, right?
Yep, JFK, moon speech. This is one phrase right here that I really like. I was watching this just last night. He says something. I want you guys to think about this.
To both knowledge and ignorance. Unfolds. In 50 years ago, man learned to write and use a cart with wheels. Christianity began less than 2 years ago.
This is what I want.
Increases, the greater our ignorance unfolds. Despite the fact that this nation's own scientific manpower is doubling every 12 years.
Fuck, man, I don't know where he puts
Despite
says
that,
it.
active comprehension cannot be deterred. The exploration of space will go is one.
Whatever. There's this thing he says, okay? There's this phrase that JFK famously says. We do it not because it is easy, we do it because it is hard. Okay? It's very easy to just go to sleep in the morning and go to sleep when we're tired. That's super easy, okay? So we have to. You guys, I want you guys to know that you guys are choosing to do something that's very hard. Okay, I'm sorry for the pep talk. We're gonna move forward. Okay, so this is what I've learned personally in the last 2 weeks. Need to be more consistent with the structure. Sometimes I get a little bit, a little bit everywhere. I get that. Okay, I'm gonna try to work on that. Also, we need to spend more time talking about theory. Okay, that's kind of like what I said earlier about theory, about copy-driven development. The theory here is that it's the best decision you can make is to look at someone else's example and start deleting and changing. That's the theory behind copy-driven development. Okay, we got to start outside and move in. Okay, I will try to explain more from the beginning and then move in, and also give more examples. So you guys can always ask for an example. Sometimes I may not be able to deliver. Okay, because sometimes you guys ask me stuff and it kind of throws me off, but I will try to give you guys better examples. There's different ways of implementing the same things. You guys all already know that. I hope you guys all learned how to use Netlify this week, right? Because what's the point of Netlify, guys? What's the point of deploying? Exactly. The point of deploying and going to Netlify and getting into master, all of that, this whole get thing, this whole deploying thing, this whole master thing, the whole point is to get into production. You have to have an app someone can use. If you cannot make an app someone can use, you're wasting your time. Okay, so what's the remaining schedule? Weeks 1 through 3, we're learning HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, JavaScript. Weeks 4, 5, 6, we're gonna move into my favorite field, React. Okay, so after this week, we're gonna start learning about what Facebook is working on. Weeks 7 through 10, you guys are gonna be learning Python. Python is a very powerful language, and we're gonna be learning how to build APIs as well. On weeks 11 and 12, you guys are gonna be working on your final projects. As the class moves forward, guys, you guys are gonna have more and more self-time, right? Reading, experimenting, etc. So this week, we're gonna be doing more practice with JavaScript. Just know that what we learned this week is also gonna help us with Python. And to say the same thing over and over again, ES6, JavaScript is gonna be what we need to do to use React. So today's practice, we have arrays, we're gonna have objects. On Thursday, we're gonna look at asynchronous programming. And on Friday, and this weekend, we're gonna be looking at Twitter. This is gonna be a group project. You guys are gonna work together on this. Who here has used Twitter? Who here has heard of Twitter? Okay, I don't use Twitter either. Yeah, so we're gonna be using a Twitter front and we're gonna be cloning that. Okay, here's a confessions about functions. Functions are also a type of data, right? Think about it. Think about it, guys. Remember what we did a second ago? right? I write, let's say const people equals Loy, Sean, Kung, people.map. What goes inside of here? A function. Functions are also data types. So just like I could also pass in hello. Like, obviously this isn't going to work because it's a map, right? But what if we had a function called function, say hi, right here, right? Console.log, hi. Now what if I call this function? Does it work? Yes. What if I want to pass it an argument? Say hi to my. What do I need to do here to get this to work? I need to capture the argument. This is what it's called now. I'm sorry I haven't used this word. Capture it. So my right here on line 9 is going to go to line 5. And now I need to capture it inside of this variable called name. So I capture it, and then what do I do now? I consume it. We consume it. We capture it, then we consume it. Okay? So that's why we see my console logged right here, because we passed in this argument to our say hi function. This argument, my, went into this variable called name, and the body, this is the body of the function here from these curly braces, from the opening to closing curly brace, that's the body. In the body, we use this argument that was passed in, and that is going to be useful for determining what we do later. If name is equal to my console.log is a monkey. Okay? Otherwise, we're just gonna do this. So what do we see here? The first time I call say my, what's gonna happen? Line 7 executes, right? What if I call it with another person? Oops.
But why am I in there? Because I'm not in the people thing up there.
I just completely, I'm ignoring this right now. Right now, the understanding here is that we're passing data to our functions, okay? My right here, my isn't gonna sit on line 11. This data, this string right here, is gonna go to line 10. It's gonna go there, it's gonna go like this, right? And then what is name gonna be on line 4? It's gonna be my, right? The first time it's gonna be my, the second time it's gonna be Loy, right? Just know that this data type here is a string, okay? And later on, we're gonna pass functions. Functions are types of data, okay? Sorry, it sounds super confusing.
I mean, it makes sense because it needs to have data in it for it to show and work, right?
Where? Say hi?
The function.
So not all functions are going to necessarily take data. Certain functions will not need data.
Okay.
But like almost all of them will take an argument. Almost all of them. It's like the vast majority will. Yeah. So okay, so let's get back to this. Remember I told you guys that we're gonna learn a lot about terminology in this class, right? And we have many different ways to call the same thing, right? Am I a brother? Yes. Am I an aunt? Yes. Am I a son? Yes. Am I a guy? Yes, I'm all of those things. And functions are going to be the exact same way. There are many different types of functions. Here are 6 of the most important. Okay? And you guys are going to learn this as you go. A callback is a special type of function. Okay? I'm going to show you 2 of them. No, I've shown you 1, 2, 3. I'm going to show you 3 real quick. Okay? So a callback. What is a callback?
Is it a call when you call a function? Like line 11 and, no, 12 and 3? No, that's okay.
No, so this is us calling a function. But remember right here, we're talking about terminology. Each one of these 6 keywords here is a type of function. A function in a specific situation. So what does that mean? So I do okay, so what if I did a function, say hi, look at our name, console.log, name is name, okay? If I did people.map, and then I passed it this function here, it works, right? So this function say hi is in this specific situation called a callback. I gave this function, say hi, to our map function call. And when map was ready to call it, it simply called it. So that's why they call it a callback. I'm sorry, I know that sounds redundant as hell. Let me say that one more time, okay? This thing, say hi, what is that? It's a function. What did we do to this function, say hi? We didn't call it yet. This is calling it. That's calling the function. Right? So just think about this. Oops. Come on. If I look at this function right here, right? Do you see how right here Kwoku is telling me this right here? It's saying, hey, that thing say hi right there, that's a function. Right? If I give parentheses, then I'm calling it. Right? Right? So just know that this function, if we give it somewhere else, right? If we put it somewhere else, we give it to map and say, call me later, it's called a callback. So like, just know that this is terminology. I don't expect you guys to all remember this off the top of your head. Just know that like there are special types of functions. That's the most important thing to understand here.
So does callback usually work with things like .map?
Yes. So this map right here, this function that you give it, it is a callback. Obviously, at its simplest form, it's called a function. At my simplest form, right? I'm a person. I'm not a dog. I'm not a monkey. I'm a person. But at a higher level, a more specific level, I'm Vietnamese American, right? That's a more specific explanation. And more specific than that would be a Vietnamese American guy, right? So we can always get more specific. Say hi is a function. When we pass it to map on line 7, it becomes a callback. A very special type of function. Actually, it's not that special, okay? Like, we're gonna be using callbacks a lot. Methods, I don't want to go into detail of this. I'll point this out as we go. Okay, we're gonna go. Like, if I gave you guys a book to read this right now, I guarantee you none of you remember it next week. Guarantee it. You guys got to see it working. Okay, anonymous, I've shown you already. These are just basically a bunch of different functions. You guys, it takes years of practice to get good at these. Okay, to be able to understand the difference.
Don't we need to know it for the React thing?
So the two that I need you to know, the three I need you to know are these three: method, callback, anonymous. And don't worry, method, you're going to see it. I'm going to tell you. When we get there, I'm going to tell you which one is a method. Okay? And anonymous, I've already shown you. Anonymous is a function that does not have a name. Right?
And why doesn't it have a name?
Because some functions we only want to call in one place. We only ever want to call it in one place. So for example, this function right here. Remember how we did it a second ago? Let's just pretend, say hi, we only ever want to call it in one place. Remember, this is the same thing, right? People.map, say hi. Oh, did I write this twice? See? So notice that, what was the question again?
When do we, the anonymous function that
Yeah.
we're talking about, like, you're mentioning that we're only gonna use it once.
Yes.
Okay.
So for example, in a real code base, right? In a real code base, for example, my app right here, this one right here. Fuck, man, I actually already refactored this. Just long story short, all you gotta do is look at it this way. We don't want to, like, although we want to define many little functions, there are certain functions that we'll only use in one place. So we don't want to give it a name, and we just want to use it in that one place.
That example is you're putting a function inside of another function.
No, this is not putting, I guess you could look at it like that. This is passing a function to a function call. This,
In certain cases like that, then you don't need to name it.
yeah, exactly. Because like right now, this is a contrived example. I don't want to confuse you guys, okay? This is a contrived example.
But have we, in Man the Monster,
Say again?
Man the Monster game,
Uh-huh.
the code, does it have like an anonymous function in there?
I don't think there was. No, I don't think there were any sitting here. Monster catch.
Do you have anonymous function in your Flappy Bird? Dan, do you have it in your catch fruits and stuff? What's the name of the game again? Like catching fruits?
So we have one anonymous function right here on the set interval, right? We're only calling a set interval one time right here, right? So this is a situation of a function that we only call one time. This is an example of a function we call exactly one time right here. That's why we did not have to name it. But there's also other things that anonymous functions are useful for. Right now, like if I talk about it, I'm scared that you guys aren't going to understand because we haven't gotten there yet. So let's just take it one step at a time, and I promise you guys.
If they use that one time, then it's better to not give it a name.
Exactly. If there's a function you're only going to use one time, you should not give it a name. Okay, so let's move forward. I promise you guys, I will tell you when we run into these, and I will give you examples. Okay. Okay, so just remember, like I said, guys, there are many different ways to write the same function. These are all a function called foo that do something. What's it doing? It's taking an argument. It's just argument. Exactly. So let's just copy it. Let's take a look and see what happens. So I copy it, paste it here. Okay. Do I have something called foo? Yes, I do. What if I call foo with 10? What's gonna happen?
20.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. I want you guys reading functions. Read them. You should be able to tell what's gonna happen by simply looking at the arguments. What's this called, guys? What do I want you guys to look at when you're looking at functions?
So if it's in the function, the top part's the parameter, right? And
Yes.
then give it arguments.
So like once again, this goes back to what I was saying. The same thing can be many things, right? So say our function say hi. Say hi right here. Name right here is called a parameter. That's a parameter.
And that takes the arguments that you'll give it later.
One second. Say hi. Right? So what is Lori right here? That's an argument. But literally a fraction of a second later, when we call this function, it becomes a parameter. Okay? I know that seems so stupid, but there is a distinction. Okay? Lori right now is an argument. When it gets up here, it's now a parameter. I will do different things depending on the parameters. Okay? So imagine that we all wanted to get food tonight, right? Together. Let's pretend, right? But the parameter is that someone is a vegetarian. Thus, we have to buy vegetarian food. That's how you think of parameters.
Or you can eat dish meat and then that vegetarian person can order vegetarian meat.
Okay, yes. Now, obviously, there are edge cases, right? But what I'm trying to say is parameters dictate. Parameters say like, hey, you got to follow within this one constraint. Okay. What if I told you guys I want food, but the parameter is it has to be Mexican food? Obviously, now that changes the equation, right? That changes what's going to happen, right? What if I told you guys write a function that gets food? I want it to be Mexican. Well, you guys need to write some code in here that says, hey, in the case that the parameter is Mexican, do this. In the parameter is Vietnamese, do that, etc. Okay, so we spent a lot of time talking. Holy fuck! I gotta get going, guys. Sorry. There's a whole bunch of different ways to write a function. I'm gonna give you guys a demo later on this week.
Function like that, like function foo.
Foo right here. You guys are gonna see this a lot. Foo bar. When you guys see foo bar, what they're trying to say is you can stick anything in there. Foo bar JS. You guys are gonna see many examples online. Where people use foo a lot. You can use this word and thing. It's kind of like you guys see me just randomly type in Supermans and colors and numbers, okay? Foo bar. They're trying to say that you can stick any value in here. You can call this whatever you want. Blah, blah, blah. So like, for example, if foo is greater than bar. So they're trying to say, they want you to imagine that like, hey, foo can be anything. Bar can be anything. Okay? All right, guys, come on. Sorry. I'm talking too much. You guys need to see code. Sometimes we're going to pass functions as arguments to another function. And once again, this is probably the most important function called, I don't know, they're all important, but map is probably one of the most useful functions that we can call. Okay? Yes, there's a for loop. I really don't want you guys to spend time thinking about this one. This is not very useful. It's okay. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's a waste of your time, but what I can say is that, like, if you guys work for me and you guys write your for loop, I'm going to tell you to start over, use a map loop. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump to our project, what we're gonna be doing today. Let's go ahead and get coding. See, my bad, I forgot where I stored it. Okay, so what are we building today, guys? We're gonna be building a to-do list. Let's look at our requirements. If I say prepare for class, I click add, you can see that my to-do is here. If I refresh the page, the to-do is here. If I close the page and then I open it back up, the to-do is still here, right? So if I say prepare for class, I don't know, go to school, get breakfast, I don't know, prepare for lecture, I don't know, show demo app. I can add as many to-dos as I want. Once again, if I refresh the page, they're still there. I can toggle it. If I refresh, the state of the to-do is still updated. It's resilient, it still maintains that. Obviously, I can delete to-dos. If I refresh, it's still there. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and do it. Or do I have any questions about what we're building?
Do we have like a template to get it out or from scratch?
We're gonna build it from scratch, just like we did everything else. And I'm about to build it from scratch right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and move out. I'm gonna move to the to where I want to keep this code, which is where? My El Captain folder on my desktop. I'm gonna make a new folder. I'm gonna call this one to-do list. That seems reasonable. I'm gonna move into to-do list. I'm going to create a bunch of required files. Okay, our index.html, our readme, our scripts, our styles. So now we can see that we have these files right here. Am I moving too fast? If you guys have any questions, let me know, okay? What's one of the first things I always ask you guys to do? Copy a template. Okay, we're gonna go to Google, we're gonna get a template. Why isn't this working?
Oh, you're using Bootstrap still?
Yes, you guys can use Bootstrap for this, and I want you guys to. I want you guys to build something like this. The world's greatest to-do app. Okay, I don't have internet. Fuck. What the fuck? Come on, baby. All right, I'm just gonna copy some code from another place. That's cool. I'm gonna go over to Google Landing. I'm gonna open up my code editor. I'm just gonna copy everything inside of index.html. Okay. I'm gonna put it inside of our index.html. Oh, my bad. I have a whole bunch of code editors open. I'm sorry, I'm confusing myself. Let me close some of these, my bad. My bad, theme again. Okay, my bad. Sorry. To-do list. Okay, I'm gonna open my code editor and just look at the files, okay? And specifically, we're gonna put something inside of index.html. This template, HTML5 template. Okay, remember, we always get this from SitePoint. I specifically like this one. We're gonna copy everything inside of here. We're gonna paste this inside of our index.html, okay? We're gonna fix our pass. Okay, fix our pass. We're gonna make sure this works, okay? What's the first thing I should do to make sure that we imported this file correctly, guys? Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna go to scripts. I'm gonna console.log, yellow futon, okay? If everything went well, I expect to see something in console log. I wanna see yellow futon in our console. I run it, I open up our console, look at the console. Do I see yellow futon? Yes. So I just proved to you guys that line 1 in scripts.js is in fact executing. I just proved it. Okay? So what's our objective here? What are we building, guys?
Well, the greatest to do app.
Okay. I want you guys, each one of you guys, can you go ahead and click around? Look at this one example. I want you guys to build something sexy like this. Obviously, it's mine. I built it. I think it's sexy. It may not be that sexy, but what I'm trying to say is that like people can look at your repositories and tell how much work you put into it, right? I want to see some like borders and shit like that. So look around with it, and there goes some inspiration. Okay, so we're building a to-do app. Our to-do app, what do we need to do, guys? We need to have an input, right? How are we gonna know what the user's typing unless we have an input? All right, so here we go, we got our input. All right, so what else do we need? We need a button. How do we know what the user's prepared to add unless we have an add button? Okay, so we got we got an input, we got a button. What's the next step? We gotta know when the user is firing, okay? When they're prepared, when they're clicking this button. So we're gonna define a new function. We're gonna say on add to do. Okay? Then we're just gonna console.log clicked to do. If I click the button now, will it work, guys? What do I need to do now? That's what I'm talking about, guys. On add. I forgot what I typed it. On add to do. Let's just copy and paste. Okay? Save it, refresh it. If I click this, it does in fact click, right? This wasn't magic. We wrote some code on line 17. We passed this on click a function that we defined in our scripts on line 4 through 6. Yes, we have to have this here. If I delete this here, save it, refresh it, I click. What's not being responsive?
Can you type in some numbers?
But the important thing is whatever I type in here, I need to know when this is clicked. That's a really big takeaway right now. So we're just gonna add it, and we need the parentheses here. I save it, and notice that what it says right here. Green bird. We save, refresh, I click, green bird is console logged. Okay, what's the next step? We need to get the value of that input. So we're gonna just use our black magic. Okay, document.getElement by ID. What do you call this? We'll just call it to-do body. Okay, I'm just gonna call it that. So now I'm gonna attach this ID to our input. Make sense, guys? Yeah. Right? So we're gonna get this. We're gonna use document.getElement by ID. And just in case we're not confident that this works, I suggest you guys save your files, jump over to your console, run the command. And we can see that we successfully targeted it, right? We ran the command. What if I did value? There's nothing in there. What if I typed in 1, 2, 3? I'd have 1, 2, 3. Okay? So now what becomes the problem? When the user hits that button, what do we want to do? We want to take that to do, and we want to stick it somewhere. So let's start real small, okay? We're gonna say dot value, const is to do body. Okay, so where do we want to stick this whenever it's added? Where? Yes, but in terms of JavaScript, we want to stick this in an array because we're gonna have many different to-dos, and they're all gonna be very similar. Okay, and because of the scope, we want this to be everywhere. Fine, I'm just gonna start real simple. Actually, we're gonna do const to-dos equals an empty array. Okay, so now whenever we successfully grab this to-do body, we're simply going to push the to-do in. Okay, to-dos dot push to-do body.
Push meaning push it to a new body.
No, we push something into an array. So here, I'll show you. So the example is, right, let's just say I had an array of people. I have 3 people in my array, right? Come on, I have 3 people in my array, right? What if I want to add 1 person? I'm gonna do people dot push my. Now if I look at people, how many people do I have now?
So push is basically adding another element in an array?
Yes. And specifically, it's adding an element to the end of an array. There's also something called shift. Unshift. People.shift. Sean. Oop, my bad, I fucked up. Shift is moving from, removing from the front. Unshift is adding to the front. So now we have Sean at the front. There are literally hundreds of thousands of different functions. Okay, it takes practice. You guys cannot remember them all. I don't even remember them all. Exactly, yeah. So, let's stay focused here. When this function fires, we define a new variable to-dos. We use our knowledge of JavaScript and the DOM to fetch the value inside of our to-dos body. Next, on line 7, we simply push this to-do onto our into our to-dos array. What do we need to do now? Now we simply want to, for every single to-do, we want to draw it on the screen. Maybe we should put this side by side. Okay, we want them down here, right? We want to list our to-dos, right? So what can we do here? Well, let's go ahead and add a UL. Oh my God, why can I not type today? Let's give this an ID, to-do list, okay? Seems like a good name. So what are we gonna do here on line 8, guys? So this would work, actually. What you said, it would work. I could just do this.
But that would replace the whole thing each time?
Yes. So watch this. I do 1, 2, 3. I click add. I spelled document wrong. We all typo, guys. Document. Refresh. 1, 2, 3. I add. That works. What's the problem that's gonna happen now?
So you need to use the map.
Yes, we want to do this once for every single to-do, right? We want to stick something in there for every single to-do. The problem here is that every single time I add one now, it's replacing what's inside of there, right? So now we want to do what? We want to map over our to-dos, right? And what's the first argument to map? It's a function. Okay, now we're going to copy this from here. And what's the argument inside of this on lines 8, 9, guys? What's the argument on line 9? If I'm mapping over our to-dos, this array to-dos, what is each element going to be? It's going to be a to-do. It's going to be just like that, right? So now, inside of here, do we want to change this? Yes, because we don't want to replace what's inside of here, okay? We want to append it. So let's see if this works. I keep typing. It's adding. See, it's replacing red car. But remember, we want to add it. So we're just gonna Google add element JavaScript. I don't remember how to do this. Right here, append child. Okay, so we can see that this is the code right here. This is the code that we run in order to append. So I'm just gonna copy everything right here. I'm gonna paste it inside of right here. We don't even need to understand what this does exactly, to be honest with you. Okay?
We just need to know that if we're gonna pay, save the information.
If you don't understand what it does on W3, you can always just click try it for yourself. Okay? And we can see all the HTML, all the CSS, everything, right? So here, this is one of the best resources on the internet, W3 Schools. So you guys can see right here, we have coffee and tea, right? If I click this button, what's gonna happen? It's going to add water. And we can just read this code right here. This is all the code right here.
Should we replace bar with let?
Yes. And I'm going to do that. So make this a let. Actually, we should change this to const because we're not going to change it. And what's one more thing we need to change, guys? What was added just a second ago? Water. What do we want to actually add? To do. So this is what I mean when I say copy-driven development. I think it's far easier to look at someone else's code and start deleting little pieces of it and then replacing it. I'm dead serious. So I save it. I jump back over to our project. I save it. Someone give me a color.
Brown.
Someone give me a car. Someone give me a fruit.
Banana?
I don't want a brown banana. Okay, so we've got an error. Right, so append child is null. Okay, I did this wrong. We need to look at this example again. Why we did this? Because this is null, right? What do we call it, guys? to-do list. Save it, jump back over here. We do brown, banana. It works. What if we did red, desk? Also works. What if we did blue, cloud? I'm typoing like crazy. Holy shit. So now you guys can see that we've successfully added a bunch of to-dos. Okay? Now, what's the next step, guys? What else do we need to do? We need to be able to remove them. Okay? So now we need to make this one a little bit more complicated, okay? So, fuck.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
After .mat and to do, the to-do thing,
Yeah.
is it a new argument or new name or new function name?
No, this is not a new function name. This is the argument right here.
Okay.
This is the argument to this function.
And you remove the parentheses
Because this is something you're allowed to do. When you have exactly one argument to a function, you're allowed to remove the parentheses. It's for more concise JavaScript. So fuck, this one's actually quite tricky. I'm gonna look at some code because I don't want you guys watching me debug. Okay, I'm gonna cheat a little bit. So we're just doing this. We're saying, hey, stick in a render to do. Okay, so in order to So now we need to figure out how to define a function, which is we'll remove one, okay? Right? We want to remove this. So we need to define a new function. Come on, man, where's mine? Here. So we need a function that's gonna do what? Function remove to do. Okay? And we're just gonna console log to see whether or not we can get this to work. Okay? So how can we get this to fire? Yeah, we gotta call it. But in what situation would we be calling this? When we click it, right? We gotta figure out how when a user's clicking this button right here. So what I yes.
X.
Say again?
Put a span with X next to the node that we just had.
So eventually this is the end goal here is to create a string that has what in here? It has an on click. That's what we need to do right now. Okay? So what does that mean? So actually we're going to let's just go ahead and stick this in here. Let me comment this out. When you guys have working code, it's okay to comment it out, okay? So I'm gonna do we need to make a string. We need to make a string. We're gonna say a ref is null right here. We're gonna say on click. We're gonna do remove to do. Okay? We're gonna say to do body. So this is the string that we're going to create. This is called templating. Specifically, this is called templating. We're taking a string, we're gonna stick this into our HTML, and then because of that, it can be responsive, right? I know that sounds super abstract, right? So let's just look at our world's greatest to-do list. If we were to inspect this, right? We can see that inside of here, somewhere, there's going to be a button that we can click. I'm sorry, this is actually written in React. I'm gonna do this. Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right, we want to create this string and stick it in there, okay? That's the end goal right here. Did I say this? Okay, so now we take this. We want to stick it in there. Document, get element by ID. To-do list. Inner HTML. No, add. What's the word here? Append HTML. I don't want to append a child, okay? This is when there's so many different ways to do the same thing. In this one case, we don't want to append a child. We just want to append right here, okay? So we're just gonna append right here. And what are we gonna stick in, guys? This string right here. You save it. Now I expect this should work. I refresh. I add. Oops, node is not defined. Oh, because line 12 I did not comment out. Save it, refresh it, test. Ooh. It's kind of tricky, huh?
Did you, so why did that happen?
Because I did not parse it correctly. One second, this is live coding right now. Give me 1 second. We map it. We get element by ID. We stick it all in. Dot inner HTML. Okay, let me try it one more time. I think this should be dot inner HTML. I refresh. I add.
You should have the equal sign.
Yes, thank you. Save. Type. Ah, that works. So notice what's our remove right here? Right? If I click this, I expect to see TK, TK, TK. Oops, that didn't work. Remove. Oops, what did I do wrong here, guys?
Parentheses.
Yes. Refresh. Red car. If I click it, we successfully see that this is console.logs. Okay? So, I'm gonna leave, we're gonna take a break here because we're running a little bit late behind class, and I think that's a lot to go through right now. So, I'm gonna finish the rest of it at the end of class, okay? So what do we do so far, guys? We know how to get an input. We know how to add elements to an array, which will then be rendered to the screen. We also know how to template it in order to add additional event handlers. Okay? So right now it's 11:41. Do you guys want me to finish this right now? Who wants me to finish this right now?
I have to go in at least 10 minutes. I need to do one of my housekeepers.
Okay, so we're gonna break right now. I think that's a lot already. Like, let's go ahead and just get this one working, and then in the afternoon we'll go ahead and finish the other requirements, toggling it and actually removing it from here. Okay? You fucking kidding me? What the fuck? Motherfucker.